I listen up, man, because we about to get deep into it. The practice of semen retention will spark the process of killing your old self. Yes, sir. Let me say that again. The practice of semen retention on a deep, deep, deep level ignites and sparks the whole process of killing your old self. And you might be wondering, whoa, bro, what the hell does that even mean? I'm not trying to kill nobody. I'm not trying to kill myself, man. I'm just trying to get over my bad habits. Well, in order for you to do that, in order for you to transcend beyond your lower self with all these bad habits, with all these degenerate behaviors, you need to cut and sever the ties to your old self in a symbolic form where you're literally rebirthing and becoming reborn into your highest self. So without further ado, let's break this bitch down real quick like a brick for y'all. So within all kind of esoteric mysteries, occult mysteries, you see kind of a similar pattern of how the hero's journey was more about conquering themselves, conquering the old self and destroying the old self. On a basic biological level, us as humans are very close to the animal self, the animal form, the animal world, the animal kingdom. This is your lower self. And the entire world around you, the Maya, the Matrix, the illusion, whatever you want to call it, the external world, the material world, is designed to keep you stuck within those lower states of consciousness and treat you like an animal, keep you in those states of consciousness where you cannot transcend above that. Slowly over time, this becomes programmed into your system as a whole. You got to understand that the mind and body are like two major supercomputers, the most technologically advanced supercomputers that the world has ever seen. Yet there's like a motherboard chip, a control panel, that if you can access into that, you can choose how this body and mind works. You can manipulate how it works, whether it's to your demise or to your advantage. The whole world, the way you've grown up, the way you've just been programmed, has been in a setting that is towards your own demise, but towards the advantage of the agenda of the Matrix, the Maya, the illusion, whatever you want to call it. It is only through actually getting above and transcending above the mind and body through the practices of self-mastery, which semen retention is one of the most potent forms of, that you can finally get back into the control panel yourself and set up the settings to your own advantage. That is not an easy process, that is not a quick process, and that is not a very comfortable process. This is essentially the death of your old self. So what does that really mean? The death of your old self. Sounds cool. Sounds maybe scary. Sounds wild. I don't know how it is to you. Comment down below. The death of your old self is essentially you taking back control of your life. You finally saying, I'm taking back the steering wheel. I'm the captain of the ship, motherfucker, like we on Captain Phillips, and directing your life the way it needs to go, rather than letting the senses, rather than letting the programmings, rather than letting what your friends, your family, what society tells you what is right. See, as you grow up, your brain is like Play-Doh. Your brain can be molded, shifted, and just overall manipulated into whatever it needs to accommodate for due to that programming. You're biologically wired to go with the status quo, to go with whatever is deemed acceptable within your society. Because as humans, we are still, again, social creatures, social animals. We grew up in tribes, we grew up in communities, we grew up in building up civilizations. And in order for you not to be an outcast, in order for you not to be exiled from the community, you adopt certain behaviors and habits that might not be congruent towards your true self in order to just be in the flow of everybody else. If you didn't do that, biologically on an ancestral level, when we're cavemans, you would be outcast by yourself as a lone wolf trying to fend for yourself. This is a threat. And your ego will do whatever it can to kind of just supersede those threats. But this is still as prevalent as it is back then, right now, as it was back then. You need to be aware of this, because as you go down this practice of semen retention, you're gonna feel like you're two different people. You're living two different timelines. Your old self and your new self that you're trying to get to. And that new self is your true self. Let me say that again. That new self is your true self. Your old self is a false illusion of what you think is yourself. It's just whatever society has told you, whatever your friends have been doing, whatever family's been telling you. You just follow that status quo. You think it's normal to act in this way. You think it's normal to follow this path. You think it's normal because everybody else is doing it and you don't want to be an outcast. Even though deep down you know on a soul level, this is not the path for you. This is not the journey for you. You were brought here for something bigger, something better. I'm not telling you that you're special. Oh man, everybody is an NPC and you're not. No, you've just slowly but surely became more mentally and overall spiritually more mature. This is what the occultists talk about. There's 3 puberties or 3 forms of maturation: the physical, the mental or the psychic, and the spiritual. Most people cap out on just the physical. Why? Because on the physical, the hormones start acting up. You get a little bit taller, you get a little bit more muscles, testosterone's pumping, and guess what? You use that same generative life force energy that helped you mature physically on nonsensical sense gratification. When you hit puberty, that's when you get stuck into pornography. That's when you get stuck into chasing women. That's when you get stuck into all these degenerate habits that are literally taking that generative force. Think about the words itself: degenerate and generative. You're not regenerating your mind. You're not regenerating the spiritual faculties of man. You are degenerating it. So you have the physical maturation probably. Matter of fact, if you're just constantly releasing throughout puberty, you probably did not hit your full potential of maxing out your size, your strength, etc., because you're using those resources that could be used to actually elevate yourself towards sense gratification. Remember, every time you are quote unquote releasing your seed, the whole reason for that is to sacrifice a part of you with somebody else. They sacrifice a part of them in order for a greater good, in order to build out a new human being. Think about it. You're literally sacrificing your life's essence. What makes you a man? What is it? The only type of energy that makes it possible for you being here, for me being here, for all the plants, etc., all that stuff, man, animals. You're sacrificing that. That is like your battery. That is like your ability to evolve as a man on a deeper level. And again, on a psychological level, psychic level, spiritual level. You're wasting it on that. So when you start retaining it and actually transmuting it, cultivating that energy, bringing it up to your higher faculties, you start to awaken parts of you that were not developed at that time, that were kept dormant. Your true self is waiting for you to awaken it through this practice, through other spiritual practices, yet you're just not giving it a chance. You don't even know who you are. You don't know what you were brought here to do. I don't know what you were brought here to do. Only you know deep down. This is a type of knowledge that cannot be found in books, that cannot be found in videos, that cannot be found in podcasts, that cannot be found anything, anywhere externally. It is an internal source of knowledge, aka gnosis. This is what I mean when you're on this practice. You actually access gnosis and you see your old self, the false illusion of you, start to dissolve. This is the deeper aspects of retention. If you're watching this channel, you watching the main channel, you tapped into the private Patreon community. Shout out to the fucking private Patreon community. Man, if you liking this type of stuff, you are truly missing out and you're doing yourself a disfavor by not joining up the community, because within there, you get access to exclusive content, getting depth and in detail to many of these ancient texts talking about psychology, ancient mysticism, spirituality, semen retention, fitness, philosophy, all that good stuff, as well as full how-to guides for various different topics, as well as in-depth occult lectures, and most importantly, the best benefit of it all, if you join into the highest membership tier group, which is the Philosopher's Circle. We are doing 2 monthly masterminds every single month. We hop on a live call with myself and a group and a community, a tribe of like-minded men who are also on this path of self-mastery, discussing all these topics, actually conversating, so you don't think like you're an outcast. You don't think that you're you're exiled from society. You might be thinking, oh man, all this stuff is great. I love watching this content, etc., etc. But when I listen to it, I log off. I go back into my old world. The environment is not suited for this path. So I go back into my old ways. You try taking that little step in the right direction, but guess what? The pull to bring you back is even stronger than your push to get out of it. This is why you need to curate a community of like-minded men who are also on this path. And that's what the Patreon provides you within the Philosopher Circle membership tier. If you're interested in that stuff, man, check out the links posted in the pinned comment of this video, because within the pinned comment of this video, you'll also be able to find application forms for one-on-one coaching with myself, booking calls, booking links to book a one-on-one consultation with me. We can chop it up about whatever it is that you're dealing with, give you my best ability, give you the advice, give you the overall guidance to actually get you out of these situations, to actually elevate above and get you on the right path, as well as other things such as the free community Discord server, as well as free weekly newsletters. All that good stuff is posted in the pinned comment of this video. Don't be a fraud, run that up, invest in yourself if you're truly serious about self-mastery. But what I was saying is, the people that watch this channel, watch the main channel, are tapped into the private Patreon community, who tap into one-on-one consultations, who work with me one-on-one on a personal level, you understand that this is a deeper aspect to this practice. You know that I'm not just here to talk about female attraction, your skin gets better, your hair gets longer, whatever the fuck. That's great, man. The physical vitality of this practice is amazing. I'm not trying to downplay it, but that's not the sole reason. On a deeper level, when you get on these longer streaks, like myself, you will understand this whole process of the death of your old self. When I look back in my life, I realized that, dude, I was sleepwalking. I was sleepwalking throughout life. I was letting whatever society told me was right dictate my every move, dictate my every decision. How can I possibly become the highest version of myself, the best version of myself, if I cannot even think for myself? Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second. How can you become the best version of yourself, the highest version of yourself, if you are not even thinking for yourself? You're not a true free thinker. You're letting everyone and your senses and the Maya, the matrix illusion, the external world dictate your every decision in life, dictate your every move in life. Whatever the senses feel, you're going to gratify them with. Whatever your emotions tell you, you're going to listen to that. Whatever the matrix, the Maya, the illusion puts out in front of you, you're going to be fooled to follow that path. When you're on this practice of retention, you elevate beyond that. You start to see and peer through the veil. You start to awaken. You start to develop the maturation of the psychic abilities, the spiritual abilities, like what I like to call, you awaken those spiritual senses. You awaken your psychic organs. That's just like the fancy way of saying you just take your levels of consciousness from the lower states, the animalistic states, to the higher states. That's how you know who the true you is. Not from me telling you all this stuff, not from somebody else telling you all this stuff, not from books. Those are great. Maybe this channel, maybe the content that I put out, the stuff that I work with people in the Patreon, in my one-on-one consultations, in the personalized coaching programs. Those are just all reminders and tools to help you guide down that path of actually uncovering your true self. Semen retention is a tool. These spiritual practices are a tool. All that stuff that I talk about, especially within this channel, as well as the free ebook, if you haven't checked out that yet, man, and you truly wanting to succeed on this path of semen retention, not only to just retain your seed, but actually using it towards your advantage, then go check out that on the main channel. There's a full video guide. Just type in how to succeed on semen retention. Within that, you'll be able to find a link to the Art of Retention ebook that goes much more in depth on all the other types of practices, the foundational elements you need in order to actually practice retention. Because you can't just say, oh, I'm just going to practice semen retention, everything's going to go fine. You need other foundational elements such as pranayama, breath work, of course, which is pranayama, meditations, a spiritual outlet, a physical outlet. Your diet needs to be in check, all that good stuff to build out a holistic lifestyle that allows you to use this energy as a tool. And then when you have that energy in place due to those foundational elements, it's going to ascend your levels of consciousness, and then you're going to figure out, oh, what's the main reason I'm doing retention? What's the main reason I'm on this path? What's the true purpose I'm here to fulfill? That's your true self. You start to dissolve and detach from your old self, telling you that this is the path, this is the path, this is the path. That is not the path. I'm not saying that's evil. Your old self is evil. But what I'm saying is, if you truly want to embody your highest self, your highest version, your highest form, you need to be able to detach from the things that are holding you back right now. They're acting as anchors. They're acting as dead weight, pulling you down. And within the Vedic philosophies, we've talked about this before. I've talked about this on the Patreon as well. There's certain things called psychological impressions, which are referred to as samskaras. Think about literally taking your thumbprint, putting it into your brain. It's literally like a scar. It's imprinting into your psyche. Act this way, behave this way, because you slowly but surely have done that over and over and over and over, and it becomes like a scar. Think about the etymology of the word, a scar on your brain, on your psyche. So you always go down that path. This is what you need to overcome. When you practice retention, you are literally detaching yourself from the old self. You are literally detaching yourself from your animalistic desires. Those animalistic desires aren't evil. This stuff isn't bad. But if you truly want to access your higher faculties, you need to use that generative force and actually ascend it to the higher stages of consciousness, the higher levels of evolution. You can't just remain stuck within your lower self. You can't remain stuck within the animalistic mind. That is the old self. And when you go on this journey, and people can probably attest to this, comment down below, you start to look at your old self like, again, I looked at myself, I was sleepwalking, I wasn't even awake. I wasn't really making decisions. My senses were, my dick was, my emotions were. If your dick is making decisions for you, come on, man. Huh? Even animals know there's a time to mate and there's a time to kind of chill. You don't have the actual natural instincts. So God gave the animal kingdom natural instincts to go have mating cycles, to go have off cycles, etc., etc. You don't have that, but you got the free will and intelligence as a human to look beyond that and make the proper decisions, because the animal can't access those higher states of consciousness, but you can. However, you're not doing it. Maybe because you don't even know that they're there, because society has essentially put everything in place where you're not able to even realize those things, or you're just too scared to realize what your potential is, what your possibilities are, because you don't want to go into the unknown. You don't want to go into the deep end. This is what this practice is about, man, on a deep level. You are becoming the true version of you. And I talked about this on a previous video on this channel, talking about my 4-year semen retention update. You become more of yourself on this journey. You're no longer dependent on external validation, external sources of pleasure. You finally start to feel what all these yogis, these sages, these saints talk about, seeking within. The internal joys within, the eternal happiness is within. You start to feel that, taste that, sliver of that while you're on this practice, while you're doing all the things that I talk about within the ebook. And again, if you have not got the ebook yet, there's also a whole audio series within the main channel, Fulati Fitness. So go on Fulati Fitness, go on playlist, find the whole audio series. So if you can't read, you're dumb as shit, or you're just too lazy to read, plug that in while you go on your walks, while you work out, while you're just on a hike. Just keep that understanding of how to actually apply this practice to your journey. All the sauce you need is there. And again, if you need any further guidance, all the services are posted in the pinned comment of this video, whether that's personal coaching, book a one-on-one consultation call, join into the private Patreon community. We're here to actually help you ascend and accelerate this journey, to help you streamline it so you don't have to go through the downfalls, the ups, the downs, etc., etc. All these people talk about, oh man, retention doesn't work, etc. Because you're probably not doing the right things. Streamline it. Follow the guidelines within the ebook. Follow the guidelines within the video guide. And you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll understand what I'm saying. You'll pick up what the fuck I'm putting down. Come on, man. Come on now. This is so much of a symbolic journey that you really don't realize, man, on a spiritual level. That's why I said so much that when you're on these longer streaks, you understand the physical vitality becomes your baseline. It's not really that big of a deal to me now. It's so much more different than how it was before, but now it's baseline. I've been doing this for such a long period of time. The mental clarity is my baseline now. I don't have brain fog anymore. So it's like, it's normal to me. But the spiritual just continues to grow and grow and grow and grow. And the more you finally start tapping into your true self, the more you start to realize and you use the mental clarity, you use the physical vitality for that main purpose of life. You start to become what I like to call a divine vessel for God, a divine instrument for the universe to actually use you towards your advantage. Everyone was brought here for a purpose, for a reason. It might be to start up a YouTube channel, it might be to become a doctor, it might be to write a book, it might be to make some music. I don't know, and I quite frankly will never know what your thing is, what your kind of purpose is. You only know. This is that gnosis I talked about. And it lies within that part of you that is covered by your old programming, your old self, your psychological samskaras. That's why you need to essentially get rid of these karmic illusions that are in the way of that. And retention is one of the most potent forms of doing that. Again, I've probably talked about this on this channel as well as on the Patreon, that on a Vedic philosophy level, they talk about how this practice generates a metaphysical heat called tapas. These tapas burn off karmic illusions and karmic just blockages. Psychological samskars, it burns it away. This is what I'm saying. You are literally burning off and killing your old self, killing those old karmas, getting to the core of your essence. Think about it also on alchemical terms. You get an ore that has some diamonds in it, that has some gold in it, that has whatever precious metal in it, but it's covered by all this junk. You need to put it in the flame, the heat, to actually burn off those impurities, to get to the pure precious metal that you're going for. Transmuting base metals into gold. That is what this practice is doing. You're killing off all those impurities of the mind, of the body, to awaken the soul, the gold, soul and gold. At that point, your life is golden. You know what it is that you need to do. You are guided by a higher source. Again, man, this channel might just be a reminder for you. Maybe help you, give you that guideline, that pathway to that place. But once you're in that place, man, you don't need further assurance of what it is that you need to do. Of course, you always will kind of not know what you're doing. You're always in the unknown, but you feel guided. You have a sense of intuition that cannot be explained into words, that directs you and guides you to the higher path in life. You just need to do the inner work to get to that point. And it's not easy. It's not going to be just a breeze. It's not going to be all smooth sailing. But guess what? Anything worth having in life, anything worth of any value takes time, takes effort, takes dedication. What do you want in your life? Ask yourself that. Why do you watch this channel? Why do you watch the main channel? Why are you maybe tapped into the private Patreon community? Why would you invest into one-on-one coaching, consultation, all that stuff, man? Why? It's not just because you like me. Who gives a fuck about me? Again, I always talk about that. Forget about the messenger. Focus on the message. Maybe you connect when I say it. Maybe you don't connect when I say it. Maybe someone else says it and you enjoy that better. But why is this message correlating to you? Because your soul knows it was brought here for a bigger reason. You have a little bit more spiritual maturity than the quote-unquote NPCs. You have a little bit more mental maturity, psychic maturity than these quote-unquote NPCs, people that are stuck in the matrix. You have been blessed within this incarnation to understand these types of concepts. You would not watch a 25, 30-minute video of me out here in the field, in the flesh, talking this shit about semen retention, killing off your old self. If a normal person, or normal, when I put quotation marks, of what society deems normal, watch this, they're gonna be like, dude, this guy is fried out of his fucking mind. But you listen to it and you're like, man, this is hitting me and strumming a chord within me, within myself on a deeper level that I cannot explain, because I've been in your position, because I've gone through this process, and I'm going through this process right here, right now, and documenting along the way, showing you maybe that I'm one step ahead of you. Here's the sauce, here's a game that I wish I had beforehand. Here's some things that you need to expect. Here's why you're doing this practice. Extend beyond what these other content creators are talking about. Female attraction, this and that. Who gives a fuck, man? Who gives a fuck? You're doing this because you're trying to become your true self. Everything else comes into line. If your true self is destined to have this wife, this family, all that stuff, man, it's going to happen. It is God's will. It is not your will. You are just becoming the best vessel for God to use you. When you're on that path, everything feels so much more blissful. You just feel fulfilled even if you're not quote unquote at the pinnacle yet. You are enjoying the process of doing that. When you're not, when you're just staying stuck within your old self, that's why you feel unfulfilled, you feel empty. A lot of people don't have that spiritual maturation and the psychic maturation to even notice that. They just continue to numb themselves, whether that's through porn, whether that's through alcohol, whether that's through drugs, whether that's through social media. They just numb that feeling, that void that their soul is yearning for with all this nonsense. And I'm not saying semen retention is going to fill that void. No, it's not, but it's a pathway. It's a gateway to find what it is that's going to fill that void. Because now you're purifying yourself. You're not worried so much about the lower animalistic desires. You can actually focus your attention and energy and just overall energy towards your higher pursuits. That's where you'll find the actual missing piece, that missing link to what's feeling like a void within you. That's not going to be found through semen retention. Semen retention, again, is a tool to guide you on that path, to access your higher faculties as a man. Believe me, bro, this is something much deeper than you might think, much deeper than you might preconceive. Hopefully this channel is helping you awaken that understanding of how powerful this practice really is, what you're really tapping into on a deep level when it comes to this journey. This ain't no game, bro. Especially if you're doing it for the long haul, especially if you're doing it for a true purpose, a true reason. Because when you have a strong enough why, this is a quote from Friedrich Nietzsche, with a strong enough why, a man will find any how. You're going to find a way to get to that source of enlightenment, that source of true gnosis, understanding and understanding yourself and what you're brought here for. That is what the ultimate goal of everyone is on this plane of existence. The goal of every soul. How do you get there? Well, as a man, this is one of the most potent tools to get you to that point. Detaching from the lower self, the old self, reprogramming your mind, unplugging yourself from that systematic biological wiring system that society has put you under. Almost like a hypnotic spell. You ascend beyond that, man. When you ascend beyond that, bro, there's nothing holding you back. Right now, there are things holding you back. But you need to slowly but surely cut off the cords, cut off the ties, cut off the anchors, dead weight that are just keeping you stuck. And you always feel, man, there's something more to life. Man, there's something more to this existence. Man, I was brought here for something bigger and better. Not in an egotistical terms, because again, you don't mean shit, I don't mean shit. We're a speck of dust within this whole galaxy. We're a speck of dust within this whole galaxy for a little blip of time. But there's a reason why our soul was incarnated here. And why we haven't ascended towards the next stage of our evolution in life. The spiritual side of life, the spiritual realms. We continue to reincarnate back here because there is some type of karmic debt we need to pay. There's some type of dharmic duty. First, you need to pay off those karmic debts through, again, through the Vedic philosophy that I talk about, burning off your karmas through these tapas, through these austerity practice, through the inner purification process. And then you slowly but surely find your dharma, aka your spiritual duty you were brought here to accomplish. If you do not find that, you're always going to feel unfulfilled in life. Again, if you want to go on the spiritual path and just kind of renounce society, guess what? You do that and you still have some dharma you need to accomplish, you're going to feel like pulled and drawn towards the material world to actually bring the impact that you were brought here to do. Doesn't matter how much you try to detach. There's always like a psychological soul kind of yearn towards doing what you were brought here to do. Once you're on that path, man, you feel liberated, feel fulfilled. So when it's your time to go, you finally ascend beyond this plane. You don't gotta come back here and do it again, and pay off karmic debts, and build up more karma that you just put yourself in a worse position. Come back here in a worse position. Come back here as a worse incarnation. You don't want that shit, man. Even if you don't believe it, man. Even if you don't believe in reincarnation and all that stuff, the cycle of samsara. Do you want to like live a life of mediocrity, knowing on your deathbed that there's something bigger, something much more spiritually inclined that you're supposed to do? Because you're someone who will be able to watch this video who's more mentally mature, psychically mature, spiritually mature. Some people might be on their deathbed, don't give a shit. Whatever, I had a good time. They're not on that level of consciousness that you're on. Yes, they have the ability to get to those points, but they are not yet. you are there. Be that person to actually spark someone else's. Maybe I'm there right now for you. I may be a step ahead of you, and this content on this channel, the private Patreon community, the main channel, my personal coaching, the consultations, maybe that is the ignition to get you on this path. You need to build yourself up to that point where you're the ignition in your own way. Whether that's through music, whether that's through your career, whether that's through, it doesn't matter what it is, man. It's your purpose. But that purpose is a tool for you to ignite other people's purposes. Come on, man. This is the death of your old self and the awakening to your true self on this journey, man. You're never gonna find something else that is as impactful. Psychedelics is the only thing I can truly kind of correlate that with, but it's not even close because this is a long-term journey. Psychedelics go, they come back down, man. The pendulum swings, but this is something that's grounded. You start to realize who you are on a deep level because all the impurities start to fall away. You start to burn off the old self, burn off the old programming, burn off the old systems that are stuck within your psyche, that are stuck within your brain. But once that's out of the way, man, you start to peel off the layers of your false sense of illusion of self like an onion and get to the core. Core is where you find the gnosis, where you find the knowledge that can only be found within, where you can find the guideline, the map towards your true potential in life. Again, I can't do it. I'm not giving you gnosis. I'm giving you tools to access your own gnosis. At the end of the day, it's all on you, bro. It's all on you to do this process. Killing your old self. And in turn, reconnecting to your true self, your highest form. What do you want in life, man? Life of mediocrity? Life on your deathbed where you're like, oh man, wish I did that, wish I did this. Come back here once again, try it again? Fuck that, man, fuck that. Let's get it and go. Let's get it and go. You're blessed with this type of content, blessed with this type of physical, psychic, and spiritual maturation to understand it. Don't waste this for no reason. Don't keep watching my videos like, yeah, man, and go back to your old ways. Oh, man, he was right, bro. Go back to your old ways. Take this and run with it, my man. Take this and run with it. Because it's been your boy out here in the field, in the flesh, dropping you out that game so you guys can make these gains. And I'm out of here. Peace.